Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the Coriolis rules by Free League Publishing. This actual play is performed by adults and contains adult themes. Strong language, powerful factions, and adventures across the third horizon await. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., which may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your storyteller. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I am your storyteller this evening, Michael Diamond. My pronouns are he, him, and I am back with the fabulous cast of Children of the Periphery, and we have such wonders to show you. And so before we get started, we'd like to thank you, the listener, and especially you, the Patreon supporter. And so if you've not had a chance to check out what we offer, you can check it out over at patreon.com/the Old Ways podcast, and jump over to YouTube there and subscribe so you can watch all of our fun begin. That said, we're going to get to cast introductions to my right.
This is Morgan. I play Captain Amara Casra of the ship the Periphery. Our pronouns are she, her, and we are in a shitload of trouble.
Yeah, it's to put it mildly, next to Captain Kazra.
Hi, this is Allie, and I play Qainat Gala. Both of our pronouns are she, her, and I'm going to kidnap Fida and use his arm for, not evil purposes.
We'll see about that at the end of the table.
Hi, this is John. I'll be playing Fida, the ship's mechanic. We both use the he, him pronouns, and guess I'm going to be kidnapped for a catnap.
Fantastic. Next to Fida.
Hi, this is Rena. I play Tamarisk and Vari, ship's courtesan and gunner, and we both use the they, them pronouns, and I've got an important meeting today, potentially.
Yeah, no, it's a good one to put on the schedule. Just make sure that all your I's are dotted and T's crossed, whatnot. It's important to get that out of the way. Absolutely. Last but certainly not least.
Hello there. This is Rosie of Odd Duck Dice. I play Icarus. Our pronouns are she, her. And Icarus is the pilot of the Periphery. And this is going to be a lot.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. A lot. So we're going to raise the curtain tonight as the Periphery, that sleek and beautifully crafted vessel, gets a little closer to Coriolis Station. It has a planned stop in the net, the sort of leftover superstructure of a massive colony ship that was then sort of relegated to the role of traffic cop. So think of it like a strange bunch of scaffolding ringing the outer space of Coriolis Station that helps Coriolis Station decide what ships are going to dock and when. And our pilot, the aforementioned Icarus, glides into one of these temporary slots before lining up to use the coordinates that Captain Kazra gave for this secret berth. What are you doing?
Yeah, no, Icarus is keeping her, planning on staying on the ship, because if we need to make a fast getaway, that's where she needs to be.
Captain Kazra?
Yeah, I'm sitting on the bridge, waiting, watching Icarus do her thing, guide us into these special coordinates that Layla gave us.
Mm-hmm. So, Icarus, why don't you give me a piloting roll?
That's 5 successes.
A damned fine piece of work. The ship glides through a few different tunnels in the net first, before getting positioned just correctly. You also notice that the place you have coordinates to, it's a blind move there. The sensors can't pick up what's inside of it just yet. It's sort of this blank space. And so moving into this position also means that you have to move into a space which the Periphery isn't sure it can fit in.
So you trust this person, right? Because getting back out of that is going to be tricky on short notice.
I do trust her. And I also trust your piloting skills to get us out of here in a hurry if we need to.
flattery will do a lot of things. Change the way physics work is not really one of them, but I can promise my best. And she pilots forward into this blind spot.
You pilot forward. You find a space. I mean, it's within 30 to maybe 40 meters, both width and depth. It is really small. But the periphery fits in here. And there is this umbilical that's there, which you could thus leave the ship and eventually float on over to Coriolis Station. So who's going to Coriolis Station?
I am. I'm going to wear sunglasses and a hat.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
A true disguise. I think it's a fantastic opportunity, Fida, for you to roll, we'll say infiltration. No, wait, or I'll give you a choice. Either infiltration or empathy manipulation.
I'm going to go with empathy manipulation because I have one extra die that way. No successes.
Fantastic. Yeah, so Qainat, you're going with Fida, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you and the abominable engineer bear walk into Coriolis Station together. He has a hat on. Makes him look, I don't know, like a stuffed teddy bear. But that's neither here nor there, you're sure. The plan, however, is for you to, after Fida makes a quick stop, the plan is for you to gain access to something very specific, yes?
Yes. 2 specific some things, to be fair.
All right. List them for us.
So I need to take Fida to go to wherever the central hub thing is to change the code emitting from our ship so that we're not actually the periphery. We're something else. So I need to go there, and he has to come with me because he knows where it is and I don't. And then he has to come on a secret mission with me that no one else knows about yet.
Interesting. And then I would ask, just for clarity, given that you're going to be back on Coriolis Station, Tamarisk, are you going to use this opportunity to make your meet at the courtesan house, at your faction house?
Absolutely. That's what I'm here for.
Okay. And then we have Icarus staying in place because her goals are much more monolith and Kua based, likely. And then the captain is just staying with the ship because, well, you know, that's the way it is. Okay. So, John, getting Fida in place when it comes to the bar is pretty simple. People do recognize you, though. There's really no way around that.
But my disguise was so good.
Maybe not as good as you.
That's just how it is in these parts. Also, it turns out when you're 6'4" and just big slab of a person, you're pretty easy to recognize.
You bet. But dropping the data disk off is not at all difficult. You talk to the people, the bartender, the owner, etc., that you know there. He accepts it, and then the term by which you give it to him.
And, if I just gives him a nod and a wink, and he's just like, I appreciate it. It's something a friend needed, and I can't make the time, so these things happen when you're on a ship.
He leans over and says to you, did I hear right that you joined up with a new ship?
Yeah, I got an offer I couldn't refuse.
Those are the times that you probably should refuse them.
You have a trick with a contract you can't refuse is the fact that you really, really don't want to see what's behind the other door. I might come out of this okay. Fingers crossed. It's been interesting so far. I got stabbed, so that's been interesting.
Jeez.
He's like, oh, did you hear about Dable? In the Dable system, the planet of the system.
No, actually, I haven't heard much of Dable in a long time.
Yeah, it turns out the house that was running it collapsed, and all the automated systems just locked the planet down for disease, quarantine, and they became... And he kind of just trails off, and he's just like, they became desperate.
Well, What kind of desperate?
Space crazy kind of desperate.
Oh, yeah. One too many space jumps, right? All they see are the faces in the dark and stuff like that. That's terrible.
Yeah, so apparently the whole planet, the water was undrinkable and crazy stuff. But, yeah. So, if you hear anybody going to Dable, they're going to need work to clear that place up and resettle it, I guess. So, he just shrugs. He's like, there's probably going to be contracts for that.
Well, that's a bit of good news, I guess.
Yeah, everything's got a good side. I got stabbed on Dable. That was the issue. Just something to keep in mind. Just, there's going to be contracts coming up for working on Dable.
Oh, I'll let people know. Maybe we'll send a ship. Anyway, it's crazy enough to go out there.
The locals will not be friendly, but, whatever.
I'll keep the disc here. If I don't hear from you, I know what to do with it.
Great stuff. I really appreciate it, but alrighty. I gotta go see a man about a space dog.
So the two of you whisk off to the next location. But I'd like to turn to Tamarisk and ask them, as they approach the courtesan chapter house here on Coriolis, this large, really sprawling estate on some of the upper portions here of the station, is there anything you're doing to prepare yourself physically? What finery would you be wearing?
Wearing kind of blue trousers and tunic with a gold trim on them, but also a matching hood. So I'm not just striding out with my face all the way in the open. And earrings, my hair curled up. No perfume this time, because I'm not going to see a client or work with a guest or any of those things. But definitely dressed up and enjoying being dressed up after everything that we've been through over the past however long it's been. It feels right to be back in my proper attire.
Certainly. You approach the house and are met with all due respect and courtesy, as you'd expect. It's busy here today. Busier than you were expecting.
It's not some kind of observation or holy day today, as far as I'm aware.
No. It is the 9th day of Water Week in the segment of the Gambler. So about 4 days or so have passed since you had made that fateful trip through the unstable portal.
I'll greet whoever's standing, keeping an eye on things and taking appointments.
Oh. Blessings again to you, Tamarisk. They approach you with a small data pad. I understand you have a meeting.
Indeed I do. She's expecting me.
Wonderful.
Is something happening today?
We are adjusting to a recent request from the nomads.
Interesting.
Indeed. We don't normally get many requests from the nomads, but it seems their faction head is pushing back on some of the consortium restraints on system travel. There have been some increases in tension along some of the trade routes, and it's actually caused a couple of consortium vessels to fire on nomad traders.
That's an interesting development. Making mental notes. So the nomads have requests of us then?
Mediation. The consortium is not interested in talking to them directly, and so they've come to us for reasonable and proper mediation, as the council has no issue waiting to take up the many challenges it already has before it.
Of course. We are rather good at it, aren't we?
Of course. It is what we are meant to do. To find a path. Right this way.
I'll follow them.
You get led down corridors that you have seen a few times. Eventually to a lift which takes you up into the higher portions of the grand estate here, and then let in to see someone very important to you. I wonder if you would, for the listening audience, give us a touchstone or two about how your faction head has affected your life.
So, I come from a working class family on Mira, and never expected to be able to do much beyond any of that, just follow in my family's footsteps. But I always had a natural talent for dancing, and at a cultural festival, at one point, I was dancing. I had a spotlight role with some of the other young dancers, and Madame Ka was there on business of some sort, and she saw me dancing and decided that I'd had a natural talent and that I could perhaps serve the Third Horizon better in the temple than working away in some factory with my family. And so she sponsored me, essentially, to Alam's Temple, where I studied to become a courtesan. And so she has a very important place in my life, and always will have an important place in my life.
You get a sense when you walk into her space, which is not closed at all. Actually, it's a very wide square that makes up part of her sitting space. Many pillows, big thick rugs, and sort of colonnades that surround the space where there are other minor sitting areas at. There are dignitaries in corners, and there are people who are her assistants in other spots. And she's sort of sitting in the middle of the rug on several of these large plush cushions, and she is working at a loom. She stops what she's doing and turns, and she acknowledges you, and just with a very simple gesture requests that you come forward.
I bow deeply, as is appropriate, and approach.
She cups both of your hands in hers. She sort of clasps around your hands. It's a very traditional greeting from teacher to student here. And she makes eye contact with you and simply says, "Blessings to you. What is your need?"
Blessings to you, madam. My crew, as you're aware, I was seconded by another patron for a voyage, is having some trouble with the consortium, and I was hoping there was a chance of perhaps a distraction or drawing away for a short time that could be done through the work of the temple to protect us for a while.
It sounds like a difficult matter that you are shouldering.
Yes, quite. I keep my voice low, and I assume we're also speaking partially in the lingo that we have.
Certainly.
The Astraban is involved, and I don't know why.
There's the slightest of uptick of one of her eyebrows. They have been more and more involved with the political situation of the consortium recently. There was an attack, I understand, on a very nearby station, one which they're not willing to claim credit for, but I have it on good authority that one of their, justicars, whatever they call them, decided to go out and write a few death sentences for people. All in the name of the consortium's need for truth.
They do seem to be taking matters into their own hands.
Well, when the Coriolis Council will not do what needs to be done, which is to publicly admonish them for it and hold them responsible, then unfortunately other factions are forced then to take matters into their own hands. It's why the business with nomads has picked up.
Yes, I've been hearing a little about that. I don't know precisely why they're involved with my crew, but we're attempting to find that out. Attempting to... You know, of course, that Marhoon was killed?
Certainly.
Suspect it has something to do with that. And I am hoping to find out what is exactly going on here, but we need them to not be staring down our throats.
All right. I can reach out to someone with perhaps some leverage and run a little interference for you. It won't last long, though.
We'll go as quickly as we can.
There will be a matter of payment. It will be a matter of services rendered. Someone will have to pay.
Of course. I expect nothing less.
When we contact talented people, we pay them for what they are worth. When people contact us and for our talents, we request the same. It's only fair. I will do two distinct things. I will attempt to determine the why, if I can. And I think I have just the person in mind to keep the dog at bay for the moment.
Bow my head.
Keep your comlink open, child. I will be with you soon. She presses her hand down, sort of on the back of your head, in a motherly sort of touch. It's actually one you felt from her before, given all of your time with her. And she says, take strength. The dance is not yet over.
I will continue as best as I can. It worries me. I can't let the others see it, but I'm doing my best.
You have my confidence.
I thank you. And I will repay you as best as I can in whatever manner you deem fit. Of course.
Well, I would be careful with your words.
Of course.
She smiles and gives you leave. So, Qainat, you have another task here on Coriolis Station, or two, perhaps. I'd like you to walk us through what you need to do.
So first and foremost, I need Fida to take me to wherever it is that ships essentially get like assigned numbers and names or whatever so that I can, attempt a hack into that to change whatever frequency of stuff we're giving off. Because that will keep us at least marginally safer than just hanging out, waiting to be found.
Yeah, and Fida would know where that is, so that's going to be at the core. That is also very close to where the Dome of the Icons is, a place that you have been, but the actual centralized administration core is close to that dome.
Yeah, and from what I know, the museum is probably not close to here.
No, the museum is going to be up on the spire, so that is further up.
Yeah, so if we start at the bottom and go to the top, that's how it always goes, right? So yeah, that's what I would do first, is urge Fida along to take me where I need to go, since I don't know where I'm supposed to be going. Lead me, Shepherd.
Just kind of looks at you. He's like, alrighty. He's just like, that's an odd thing to call somebody, but what's a ship? But yeah, he takes her through several industrial areas, cuts between a couple of workshops. This is a route you can use to get here, but it's not the best route you can use to get here. That's the route we're taking.
So the core of Coriolis Station is where all of the central administration is done. It is a massive, quite literal, the center hub of all the spoke. And there are tons of little other administration buildings sort of at its feet. Luckily for you, the registration building is not inside the centralized administration section. It is a smaller, although not small, building that exists outside of it. It's protected, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't potentially attempt to access it and hack it from the outside. Although hacking it from the inside would be, we'll just say, fundamentally easier.
Yeah, getting you into the... It's going to be a trick. I'm not too sure the best way to do it.
Well, we could drag them behind the building and knock them out.
He's kind of like, I wouldn't know where to start.
I could make a smoke bomb, but I don't really feel like that would be effective.
I think that might actually call more security here.
Yeah. Because there's something on fire, so,
And it's a space station, possibly one of the worst places to have a fire.
What if I start a real fire on the other side?
He's just like, look, we're not going to go in the front door because, well, we don't have keys and we don't have things to get through the inside doors. So what we can do is we can try and find another way in. There's always a second way in. There's always a back door. He's like, and besides, you're pretty small. Well, you'll probably fit into like a vent or something, right?
With my bag, I'm not sure that you know. I'm not sure how your spatial awareness is.
Fida, why don't you give me a wits observation roll? I think this will help.
1 success.
Okay. Given what you see about this facility, and what you know, at least you think you know, about Qainat, it is really unlikely that she's going to be able to, we'll just say, secrete herself inside this building. You don't know that she shapes up to be a full-on spy. What you could do is try a local terminal nearby. You'd at least be on relatively the same ground, but she would just have to be sort of an all-star data gen hacker.
Yeah, he's just like, overall, how confident are you in your data ginnery?
Well, I haven't failed this yet, so pretty confident.
All right. So we can't get inside, but what we can do is connect to, and he's like, there's a local terminal across the square. We can probably use that to get the access. It's on the same network, so we should be, it's like one of the handy things about a space station is everything is wired to everything else. It probably shouldn't be, but it is.
How likely are we to be seen?
It's a public data terminal. It's not exactly uncommon for people to use it.
Okay.
It is there to be used.
That is true.
I mean, hopefully people won't notice what we're doing, but don't worry about it.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
It's a great plan.
There's no way it can go wrong.
No, just like Fida blended in real good. So I guess I'm just gonna casually walk over to wherever this thing is. I belong here.
Sure.
And I'm gonna set my bag down.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a panel I can open?
I mean, there's a terminal which you could probably plug into and begin attempting to, circumvent certain security networks.
So then I would like to use my talent of jury rig. It is a scientist-specific talent.
Okay, so this is well, and I'll ask you to be sort of mindful and careful as a player about what you're going to do. So if you're going to jury rig something, what are you going to jury rig it to do?
So essentially what I want to do is essentially pull the equivalent of like a hard line, like a Cat 5, basically, out of the terminal and plug it into my tablet scanner thing that I have. So that way I have more direct access and control, but keep it essentially on top of the terminal. So it looks like I'm just doing general work or looking for something rather than kneeled down and typing like a mad person. But I feel like I would have to essentially, the jury rig is to break into the panel for hardware. Essentially like pull off a panel to pull a hard cable out.
Okay, so a couple of things. You need to pick one or the other. If you're going to select the data terminal to jury rig for some specific bonus, I'm fine with that. That's got to be the target of it, because that means that when you're at this terminal temporary to make this roll, whatever successes that you get with your technology test are what's going to apply to the data gen roll. Functionally, it can be, I'm going to take the cover off here and I'm going to move some wires around. Maybe what you're going to do is you're going to, instead of the idea of like pulling a hard line out of it, because it's a data terminal, so all it has at this point is hard lines, maybe what you're really going to do is free it up any of the network bandwidth it might have that goes elsewhere to like other networks, so that it only communicates on this one single network.
Yeah, that second option is probably what I would do, is eliminate all networks that are not going to help me be successful in the task that I want at hand.
Fantastic. Now I'm going to allow you to make a technology test. What I will ask is, are you explaining to Fida what you're doing?
Yeah, I already told him what I was going to do.
Okay. So, Fida, would you like to make a technology assist roll?
I would love to.
Okay, so let's have that roll first.
One success.
Okay. So he has gotten you one success at this point.
I got myself 2 successes.
Okay. So that's a total of 3. So when you make your data gen roll now, you'll have 3 successes to add to it. So the threshold for this roll is 5.
Oh,
You need 5 successes to make this roll happen.
okay.
And there are consequences, especially consequences if you fail.
Yeah. That's okay. I still have 6 dice. I can make it work. Hey. Okay, fine. I only got 2 successes. So 5. I met your threshold.
You are. So you meet the threshold. You begin the process of hacking into a secure network. Something that you've not done before, at least in this way. For your part, Fida, what you watch is, well, it's sort of like somebody programming something, but while hyperventilating.
He's very impressed that she has gone today from not being able to breathe to hyperventilating while doing a task. Very impressed.
So I'm going to make a roll here for the system itself.
We went full circle in my breathing ability.
It's important. Closure. The system fights back. It actively tries to shut down the data terminal. You are victorious in the end. You are able to change the registration, but I'll ask you a deeper question. Since you're changing the registration of the ship, what are you changing it to? What are you calling the ship now?
Oh, I don't have my crew to consult with this.
No, it's your call.
It's going to be called the Sky Skimmer.
Okay. You name it. Moments later, the terminal that you're at shuts off. Above your head, Fida, atop this terminal, a light turns on.
Oh, that's not good.
So what I will ask the two of you for is agility infiltration rolls to get out before you are found by station security.
No successes.
Did you say agility infiltration? That's a whole 3 dice pool, of which I got no successes, so I'd like to give a darkness point so that I can re-roll that.
Certainly.
Okay.
I'm just accepting that I have no successes, Mike. I'm fine with it. I'll be a distraction. I'll run away.
John, I need your arm.
Oh, fine. I'll roll 2. 1 success.
Is 1 all we need?
One is all you need. The two of you dash from the administration square. You end up running behind a couple of buildings in a sort of back and forth pattern as drones fill the sky and voices begin shouting. You have to careen your way through a couple of different marketplace stalls and long stretching lines of people waiting in queues. But you manage to get out of the core section without being captured. By the time you get out of the core section, an alert has been raised. And as you're assumably going further up towards the spire, which is where Qainat had suggested she needs to go, you see on advertising billboards pictures of you two standing next to a terminal and rough descriptions being given of you. You are both now officially wanted on Coriola's station.
This all went to plan.
I'm glad we saved this part for last. Sorry, oh no, we didn't. What the fuck are you going to have me do in a museum that this was the middle stop?
You get to the spire and you see not far from you, the museum. You've been here before, Qainat.
Yeah, I'm going to do something that no one besides Fido will probably ever see me do. I'm going to take off the entirety of my jacket and hood and just throw it somewhere. I still have clothes on underneath. But I'm going to throw that so at least I don't look quite as conspicuous with my hood all the way up and everything. And we're just going to casually walk into the museum. And I want to take a look at that security camera next to that door with that key that I know I still have and see if that security camera is still not covering the area as well as it should.
Sure enough, the camera is still in the same position.
Perfect. So I'm going to just jerk my head just enough so Fida sees where we're going, and I will slip the key card into it, and I will pop the door open. Away we go.
Away you go down into the museum's basement. This is really creepy, Fida. There's an awful lot of strange mechanics here along the way, a lot of objects that aren't on display. Each one you pass makes your body sort of vibrate in an uncomfortable way. You feel like there are portal builder technology down here.
Previously, I probably would have written this all off as being just, freaked out. Now I'm just like, I guess maybe I'm getting a signal from something or from a lot of things. I don't know. It's complicated. And I don't understand. He's just like, do you know where this thing is?
Yes, I do. And I'm going to stop at the door. I'm going to use that key card. I'm going to open it. I'm going to hold it open and point to the center. And I say, I think you need that. And there's this giant box just sitting on a table that has a bunch of beautiful, essentially, carvings into it that it's kind of a gold inlay pattern. And it is one solid piece that I wouldn't have been able to take with me, even if I had wanted to the first time I saw it.
Hey, Mike, does this box look familiar?
Yeah, actually it does.
Mm-hmm. He's just like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, Fida, you pin this box as soon as she opens that door, and things sort of start to click.
Beside you just hear son of... And he just goes over to it, and he's like, I think we can probably leave the box behind, right? You don't need the box, you just need what's in it.
We both need what's in it.
Okay.
So unless the box refuses to open with your arm and the portal builder technology, you should just be able to get into it, right? That's how this works?
He just kind of looks, he's like, I don't actually know how any of this works, right? I've got an understanding, but I don't know that it's right.
Okay, well, touch the box. See what happens.
Mike, I'd like to roll to touch the box.
Would you know?
I would like to. I would like to reach out to the box.
I think you should. I think you should probably roll empathy mystic powers.
Oh boy. Alrighty. No successes on that roll, but I would like to spend a darkness point and use my gambler's talent.
Ooh.
Which gives me an auto crit.
An auto crit. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to spend 5 darkness points. You critically succeed. You open the box, at least in a method, in a way. The little designs move. And they sort of move back and forth and adjust themselves. And you've seen this movement before. Your forearm does this same movement. Those symbols, those signs on your forearm adjust the same way. And you watch as the box sort of deconstructs itself and opens into a much smaller version. The outside facade is simply a placeholder. Inside the box is knowledge. It's a data store. It always has been. And so that data store and you are now linked.
Oh. Now, Mike, last time I linked with a data store.
Yes.
Oh, I see. That's why you spent those darkness points.
Correct. So you get a vision of something that you don't want, which is the sort of mind-bending reality of the situation. It does cost you 4 points of stress to view this. The information comes in bits that you can begin to understand. There is a planetoid nearby where there is this portal. The builders believed that it was potentially a method of leaving the third horizon. That's what they were building it for. Because long ago, they had realized that this horizon too had been poisoned by this darkness that exists in the universe. And you now know where that planet is. And you understand how the technology works. You don't understand how you understand that, But you have an innate knowledge now that that portal is not where you are expecting it to be. It is not in space around some gravitational body, but that the portal builders built it inside the core of a planet to hide it from space.
The one place the darkness couldn't go.
Correct.
Even though all the others are in space, this one isn't. Yeah, I think from Qainat's point of view, it's once again Fida just like word vomiting, like no punctuation, just constant stream of just words. How is he breathing?
That's okay. I'll wait. Once you have finished your gibbering, I will grab you by your not shiny, moving arm. Are we ready to go?
I don't think I'm done till Mike says I'm done.
You could leave, yes, but the data's not done downloading.
Okay.
Not that you know that, of course, Qainat.
No.
Fida, you realize that the rest of your body is beginning to itch a little? Like you get physically uncomfortable. It doesn't take you long, though, Qainat, to see him, sort of moving around, and you realize that his skin is beginning to darken in areas. Tattoos are growing on him.
So what happens if I touch it?
You don't think that's a good idea, Fida? Unless, of course, you're not verbalizing that.
I don't think I can verbalize that, Mike. I'm getting a database downloaded into my brain.
No, I mean, in case she's not verbalizing that.
Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna shake you a little bit, nothing. So I'm gonna go lock the door.
Lock the door to the basement?
Yeah.
Okay, you lock the door.
And I'm ever the mad scientist, and I'm going to pull out my scanner and just let it run while you're saying things.
The difficult part for the scanner, honestly, is to pick up anything that is fully intelligible. Even the programs inside your datapad are having a hard time parsing what Fida is saying. You get the idea that there is a planet nearby, which holds this wonder that he's talking about. But the name that Fida gives that planet isn't anything you've ever heard of before. Captain Khazra, your team has been gone now for several hours, and you're beginning to get concerned. You've sort of been in this cone of silence with Icarus. I would ask Tamarisk, are you going back to the ship after you're done with your meeting?
Yes, that's the plan, because figuring that we'll need to leave quickly since Madame Koss said we would only have a short window.
You get an encoded message from Ka that reads, in effect, she can buy you about 6 to 8 hours.
I will relay that to the captain once I get back to the ship. We have some time, Captain, but only about 6 to 8 hours. That's the best my contact could do.
At the monolith?
In general.
Okay, because Layla had given us 12 hours, so do we get an additional 6 to 8 added on that? 12 hours of being docked here.
You've only been docked for a couple of hours. You're not sure that that's how that works, though. You don't think that they work in concert with one another.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know that we get some additional time.
Icarus, on the navigational readout, you see a message from Rakam that says, someone is attempting to change our registration.
That's fine. Let them do it. And she says back to the captain, it looks like she's done it? And then she says back to Rakam, what did they change it to?
Rakam says the sky skimmer is what we've been assigned.
I don't like it as much, but you will always be Rakam to me.
Well, that's good. I mean, they didn't change my name. Fida, the lines wrap all over your other forearm and back. They trace their way down your legs, and what they leave behind is a smoking husk of a data store afterwards. There is nothing left on that. It's all on you now.
You ate the data store.
Yeah, as soon as it finishes, his hands are on his knees. He's doubled over. He's trying to breathe slowly, but he's struggling. That was a lot. Didn't think it was going to be that. Somehow that was worse than the first time, because there wasn't somebody to guide me through it. Holy shit, that was a lot. By the icons, that was so much. I guess we're going to need a disguise, and then we're going to have to go back to the ship, right? And he's just looking at him, he is very, very pale now. He looks like somebody whose body is going into shock.
Well, the good news is you're covered in so many more tattoos that I'm not sure you would be recognized at this point.
And he kind of looks at them, and he's just like, oh, wow. Oh.
You're fairly certain, Qainat, that he can't see the ones that are on his face.
They literally covered his whole body, didn't they?
You're not sure. I mean, guy's wearing clothes.
Everything that I can see, anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they definitely won't recognize you.
You're sure?
Yeah. You won't need that hat.
I guess I'll leave my disguise here. And he takes off the hat and puts it down.
Okay.
Let's get back to the ship.
And he's just kind of like, yeah. And I guess the guy they're looking for will walk like I normally walk, and he won't kind of feel like he's going to puke his guts out. Okay. And he's just like, his posture's really slumped, and he's just kind of, he looked like somebody who's punch drunk. He's just staggering.
So I imagine that you have like your arm like wrapped around me, and I'm kind of doing what I can to like act as a crutch.
He's just like, there's so much portal builder stuff here.
Hey, Fida.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone what I look like.
And he's just like, I won't, I promise.
You're the only person who's seen me without my hood. It's not something that I do. Thank you for trusting me to go through all this.
No problem. You can see his eyes are starting to kind of like weep a little bit. It's just like all the physical symptoms of somebody whose body is dealing with a huge shock. He's yawning a lot.
Yeah, let's get you back.
You work your way back to the outer ring, and then eventually a pathway that leads you back to the net where you can gain access to the ship. It doesn't come without certain observations the two of you make. The station itself is a lot more active right now. Station patrols are more active too. And that doesn't do anything to alleviate the concern, especially the concerns when it comes to getting tracked down. But you make it back to the ship. Everybody else on the ship can see that something has happened to Fida.
And I'm gonna maneuver myself actually past my quarters, basically, and essentially duck under Fida's arm so I can go inside and get dressed again.
Once I see Fida. You know, Fida, I'd ask, but we really need to get out of here first, so I'm gonna put a pin in that asking what happened. We'll circle back to that later.
I know where the portal is. That's what matters.
Oh, great. We can check one thing off the list.
He's just kind of standing there. He normally would be like straight to his station. He's just like kind of swaying.
Yeah, after I change really quick, I'm probably coming right back out to redo my crutch abilities.
You help him back down to engineering where he's most comfortable.
Yeah.
I've got a little chair down there.
He does. You hear Rakam's voice as soon as you get into engineering. Oh, wow, you look bad.
As bad as I look, I feel worse.
Man, I'm telling you. I don't know, but that looks terrible.
How bad is it? You should have seen the other guy.
It's all over your face.
He like looks at Qainat and he's like, it's on my face?
That's why I said no one would recognize you.
Can you bring me a mirror?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so while that's going on, Captain, you seem to have all of your checklist items done here at Coriolis Station. What's the plan now?
Well, I don't know any of this information what Fida has downloaded. We can get out of here and then talk about it. I think our next stop was the monolith.
Yeah, Kua.
Yeah, Icarus is happy to get us out of here ASAP, but she is so not going to land directly on the monolith. Thank you very much. Fuck no. Nope. Definitely looking for somewhere that she would be more aware of based on her profession. Potentially a little bit more in the jungle than directly in the city.
Yeah, I think that's totally doable. getting planet side and getting into the, any number of potential overhang spots in the jungle with this ship isn't terribly impossible. And flying there doesn't take a ton of time. A couple things I'd like you to do, though. I would like you to make a piloting roll to get in there, not just safely, but quietly. And who is our sensors person?
That'd be Qainat.
All right, Qainat. I'd like you to give me a sciences roll, if you would.
Yeah, sure. I got sciences. I got 2.
Okay. So you notice a couple of things. One, there does seem to be 2 very distinct large contingents of ships as you leave Coriolis Station and sort of plunge towards Kua. One is a contingent of ship that you have seen before. You recognize some of those ships. A couple of them are very large battleships and a couple of smaller dreadnoughts. There are probably 20 or so ships in that total. The second contingent of ships is sort of a motley crew gathering of different types of vessels, large transport vessels, small fighters, and then a series of what look like mid-class ships. And they're probably 40 in total, maybe 50. And they sort of set up a picket line that starts in certain spaces. And the ship is hailed.
Captain, do we want to answer this?
Audio only.
Okay. So you're going to do audio, but if they give you a visual, you'd get it.
Oh, that's fine.
I'm just letting you know. The visual that you get from the communication is of a woman probably in her late 20s, early 30s, does not fit any of the normal makeup of what you would likely see on Coriolis Station. She is in sort of this A-frame shirt. She has really long white hair that is tucked into a super thick braid. She has what you believe are cybernetically altered eyes. They stick out just slightly from what normal eyes do. And she wears like a really dark eyeshadow, and the eye color themselves are like ice crystal white. She has a real long tattoo that runs from her neck on the right-hand side all the way down her shoulder and all the way down the top of her forearm. You sort of see her searching for the video portion of the message that's supposed to be two-way. And she says, "This is Yunev Siflak of the Nomad Group Wanderers. I'm looking for Captain Amara Khazra."
I nod over at Icarus to pull up the screen, pull us up on screen.
Does so.
I come up on screen. This is Captain Amara Khazra.
Captain, we have your escort. If they try anything funny, we'll be here.
Wonderful. Well, thank Captain Alquamar for me.
Oh, don't worry about that. She's already been thanked. I'd like you to make me an empathy culture roll, Captain.
Be rolling 5 dice. I got 2 successes.
So it takes you a minute after sort of the screen goes dark to get the faction history sort of locked back in. Yunev is, or was, a leading voice in the Free League faction. And by leading, I mean sat on the council on Coriolis Station. But you're remembering that there was some sort of disagreement that she had with some of the other Firstborn faction folks, and she decided to basically go back to smuggling, transporting, and being what is in effect like a non-ranked admiral within the Free League faction. She sort of calls her own shots and, may have been a pirate at one point. It's hard to say. It gets bandied about a lot. But she's got a whole lot of juice with a lot of that faction.
Apparently we're going to owe her now, too. Just add it to the list.
Are you going to thank her personally, too?
We don't know each other well enough yet.
So, Icarus, that fantastic role, please give us some narrative flair about how you pick your way through these ships and get to Kua.
Okay, so I'm super impressed with myself. I rolled 5, and I totally take credit for whatever odds the dice decided to gift upon me. She almost, the way she flies out of this sort of blind tunnel and then back out into space, she does it almost backwards. And because she does it that way, she doesn't have to turn around again when she exits. She just sort of has to orient a little bit, but she doesn't have to spend the time turning the ship back around. And that means that they can get out of there fast. So it doesn't waste power, waste time, just off. It's lucky they got that hail.
So yeah, it doesn't come to much surprise to your fellow passengers, but people got to hold on to things an awful lot. You spin through all sorts of different ways and methods to get through these 2 lines. You get real close, mostly because you can. You get close enough to see some of the people walking through the ship. You see through their windows for just a moment. And then you hurtle yourself towards Kua and the jungle that lay in wait for you. And for now, both lines of ships keep their weapons where they are. But we'll see more about what happens when we get to that monolith next session. So thank you for joining us again on this episode of Children of the Periphery. We greatly appreciate your listening ears. Much more to come. Thank you and good night.